The Conservatives say she's taken the people of Luton for a ride.
This was the last time Margaret Moran was seen in public, when Look East spoke to her last May. Since then, she's been signed off sick, saying she's unable to work due to stress. But tonight, the MP for Luton South will be seen meeting with what she thinks is a lobbying firm, and apparently agreeing to work for it.
And in terms of how quickly you'd be able to start, I think the guys in America want things to get going quite quickly.
Yeah, I'm free now.
These pictures were secretly filmed by Channel 4 just a few weeks ago. Ms Moran later told the programme she was speaking hypothetically about working after the election, when she'll have stood down. But in her constituency today, there's a lot of anger.
It was all right for her to meet them lot, but she couldn't meet us, you know, so that's not very good.
Well, she's in it for her own gain, basically. She's not really in it for the people.
You know, we elected her, so she should be back here letting us know what's going on.
Luton South has effectively been without an MP for the best part of a year. Yet, according to these revelations, Margaret Moran's got plenty of time to go and talk to lobbyists, but not talk to her constituents.
The Liberal Democrats have also condemned her. So too her own local party, which for months has accepted her assurances that she's not been well.
If these accusations are true, the party as a whole, local Labour Party, Luton South, is appalled by it. And if it is true, we are really and truly, members are very upset.
Margaret Moran hasn't returned our calls all weekend. She's been vilified in some parts of the media, some say unfairly, over her expense claims and business interests. This story will do nothing to help her.
Well, Andrew's with me now. How damaging is this for Labour in Luton?
It's really hard for Labour in Luton South. The party has had a new candidate. They've had a new candidate who's been in place now for several months, and as soon as he was selected, he was quick to condemn Margaret Moran. But I'm told that on the doorsteps, the subject of Margaret Moran and her perceived absence keeps coming up, and Labour have been fighting really hard to say, look, our new man is completely different. So this story will really upset Labour tremendously, and it's interesting that people who've been very loyal supporters of Margaret Moran have been very quick to come out today to condemn her. Indeed, one very senior source in the party said, Margaret Moran is the past, we're not interested in her anymore, it's our new candidate we're trying to promote, we just wish she'd go away and stop bothering us with this bad publicity.
Andrew, thank you.
The Soham murderer Ian Huntley is back in prison tonight after his throat was reportedly slashed by a fellow prisoner. Huntley is serving 2 life sentences for murdering schoolgirls Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. He was taken to hospital following the attack at Franklin Prison in County Durham.
First, he was reported to be close to death, but his injuries were overstated. Tonight, Ian Huntley's back inside maximum security Franklin's prison after hospital treatment to his neck wound. It's not the first time the Soham murderer has been attacked by a fellow inmate. Since he was jailed in 2003 for murdering Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, prison sources have told the BBC he's been assaulted at least half a dozen times. In Soham, people are not surprised by what has happened.
To be expected, I think, really, considering what he's done to this town, yes. And I don't find pity for him whatsoever, no pity whatsoever.
He deserves all he gets. Got no sympathies with him whatsoever.
I think it's wrong anyway. I mean, he should serve his time in prison. He shouldn't be attacked whilst he's in prison.
The Prison Officers Association says it's not just Ian Huntley who's at risk at Franklin.
Well, there was an incident yesterday, Sunday, in Franklin, where Ian Huntley was attacked. But I think just as importantly, there was an incident last week where 3 prison officers were attacked. And one of those prison officers is still in hospital, whilst Mr Huntley is being discharged.
Police are investigating the attack on Huntley. They say they've recovered a number of items thought to be linked to the incident. Sally Chidzoy, BBC Look East.
Police are investigating an alleged homophobic incident after a gay couple from Cambridgeshire were thrown out of a guest house. Michael Black and John Morgan booked a room at a bed and breakfast in a village in Berkshire. But when they turned up on Friday, they were asked to leave. The owner told the BBC it was against her beliefs to accommodate same-sex couples and said if she'd known beforehand, she could have made special arrangements.
I could have offered 2 rooms for single occupancy, and I would have that night, but it was fully booked, so my hands were tied. I couldn't do that. So I really had no other option.
Well, John Morgan and Michael Black join me now from their home in Cambridgeshire. How quickly did it become apparent to you when you arrived that the owner wasn't happy?
As soon as we got out of the car, we could see from her body language, the fact she didn't smile or welcome us, that there was something up, and we guessed that she was taken aback that we were two men. But we behaved in a friendly way in hopes that that would give her a moment or two to recover herself and put on the right sort of behaviour for the owner of a B&B. But it didn't happen.
John, she says you should have warned her.
Straight away.
Sorry to interrupt. John, she says you should have warned her in advance. What do you say to that?
Well, I can't believe it, really. Would you sort of ring up and say, oh, and by the way, my partner's black, or my partner's left-handed, or my partner's bald, or whatever the phobia might be? No, it's ridiculous, I think.
It's also illegal for owners to ask those questions. And in the recording, she said that if she'd had 2 rooms available, she would offer them to us. But that's so insulting. You wouldn't offer a married heterosexual couple 2 separate rooms. And we live together as a couple.
I know you've taken this to the police. What had the police said to you?
The Cambridgeshire Constabulary have said that they think there won't be a prosecution because it isn't a criminal offence, and it seems that our legal recourse would be to a county court if we decide to go that route. The police also advised us to contact trading standards in Berkshire, in Windsor and Maidenhead, which we've done, and they're looking into the matter.
John Morgan and Michael Black, thank you very much.
The head of General Motors in Europe has told Look East there'll be a decision on what happens to its plant in Luton after 2013 in the next few months. Nick Riley, the former head of Vauxhall in Luton, was touring the factory this afternoon. I spoke to him earlier and asked him if workers could rely on talks with Renault being successful.
I think so, yes. We've had a lot of discussions with Renault, as everybody knows, and we're optimistic that they will come out the way we want. But we are not only relying on that. We think we have another plan if that doesn't work. But certainly our preference is to make the discussions with Renault work, because it's been a good relationship over many years.
So you do have other irons in the fire, so there could be other car manufacturers coming to Vauxhall at Luton?
No, I'm not saying that there are other car manufacturers coming. But there are other ways to go forward if this doesn't work. But I believe we'll get this to work. I think it's good for both companies.
Surely, if you do manage to land a new contract, you'll have to make an announcement soon so production can start post-2013. So you haven't got much time to kind of make a decision, really, or make an announcement.
No, I agree with you. In fact, that's why I've been personally involved in the discussions. And I would say that in the next 2 to 3 months, we've got to make a decision, because if we don't go that way, we want to go another way. And so we need to know as soon as we can.
So how imminent will that announcement be, do you think?
I would say no more than 3 months, and hopefully a little less.
So, you closed down car manufacturing at Vauxhall when you were in charge there back 8 years ago in Luton. I suppose you don't really want to see the end of manufacturing altogether in Luton?
Absolutely not. I actually want to see the increase of manufacturing in the UK and in Europe generally. The competition in this industry is getting fiercer and fiercer.
So there could be a positive future for those left working at Luton?
That's certainly the way we're working, yes. That's my intention.
Mr. Riley, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Still to come.